Darlene has obviously has a very big profile around the world now, in Christian circles in particular. Are you the great man behind the great woman?
Well, I don't know about the great man, but
I mean, it always takes two, doesn't it? You know, there must be times when encouragement and you know, you need each other so much.
Yeah.
You know, the pressures that do come with working at that level. How do you find that? Just as a couple.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we've always seen our ministry as a real partnership. We've never seen it as Darlene's ministry or Mark's ministry for the things that I do. And I suppose for us, that's the key, and that we really support each other.
Comes out of your marriage.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, there was a season when there's no doubt that I felt very disjointed about, you know,
where do I fit?
How do I fit in? Because it's obviously what Darlene's giftings and mantle was, what was the opportunities that God was raising up for her, and I had to really sort of go through almost a wilderness experience to sort of work out what was I to do, how was I fit to fit. I mean, it was, you know, I was lying in bed some night thinking, God, I mean, she can sing, she can worship lead, she can that, but what can I do? It's like, well, I can sort of mow the grass, I can sort of wash the dishes, but
play the triangle.
Yeah, but I know that my life can do more than that. And
that's right.
And literally, you know, a number of years ago, God clearly spoke to me and said, you really need to, you know, just get involved. And I went to our pastoral team and said, look, I just need to get involved more than what I've ever done before. I said, I don't care, I'll stack the chairs, I'll sweep the floor, whatever. And since then, God has raised me up as involved in the media and producing programs.
Out of just a heart to serve.
Totally.
Yeah. Shout to the Lord. Was that kind of birthed in the kitchen, you know, or, you know, having a glass of juice out in the garden or down the beach in Australia? How did that come about?
Well, to be honest, we were at that stage we were working for ourselves in a business where we were selling motorcycle parts, of all things. If you can imagine Darlene going around to the motorcycle shop selling parts, but she was doing
900cc.
But I was in the office and she was in the bedroom just sort of tinkering the piano. She says, I think I've just written a really nice song. And she went into church and played it for Brian and sort of sheepishly said, what do you think of this? You know, I don't know whether it's going to be any good. And, man, it's just...
It's become a staple song around the nations. The impact here in England and in Europe, it just took off like a rocket. And it has an element in it where it's bringing this roar in the church, which in a prophetic sense, in the book of Joel, it says, you know, let the roar come out of Zion, you know, blow the trumpet, sound the alarm. Do you see that song as a little bit like that? You know, let the roar and the shout of the church come up in the nations.
For me, it just really just wells up within you, in your spirit, and just literally is a way of expressing, you know, worship to God. I mean, and that's what worship is. It's not worship to worship the worship music, you know, which some people along the way get a little bit confused. It's actually a way of expressing our love for God, and that's for me. It's just because, you know, I find a way of release to actually sort of communicate with God in worship.
And you find that that song is actually encouraging nations to release their worship.
Yeah, I mean,
before God.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you a story. Last week, I was at this conference and I was actually just registering. I was there by myself, getting involved, and the lady at the desk sort of said, "Oh, you're Mark Zschech. Now, is Darlene your wife?" And I went, "Yes, she is." She says,
"Oh, are you the husband of Darlene?"
Yeah, exactly. I don't have a first name anymore. No. My name is Mark, Mr. Darlene Zschech.
Yeah, that's right.
But I've gotten over that. But literally, the tears welled up in her eyes, and she just started crying. She just said, "That song has just blessed me so much."
That's great. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Oh man, and I've just again felt so humbled to think, wow, like we had an opportunity to really minister and obviously affect people's lives, you know.
And I think, particularly in this country and certain cultures, even in Europe, to be a female and worship lead with the zeal that Darlene does is an unusual thing.
It is. It's very unusual. You know, it was actually, to be honest, probably even a little bit controversial in the United States, where they were hesitant to almost do something initially.
And she's wearing trousers.
Yeah, that's a shocker. That is. That you know, I don't know how this is going to go, you know, that she's a female worship leader.
But it's that breaking the parameters, isn't it? Which in a way is what being prophetic is about too. It's not just prophesying. It's saying, no, God is into this. And I think the fruit of it sort of speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. It's just amazing what, you know, if people are just sown into their local church, sown into what God can do through their lives, because sometimes we underestimate what God can do through us. He uses people. You know, like we often think, oh, that's the pastor. Yes, he'll use the pastor. Oh, yes, that's the minister. That's the worship leader. He'll use those. But we don't understand that God wants to use us.
That's right.
You know,
that's fantastic. Mark, that's amazing. You know, that's what it's all about. When you have a heart to serve and you sow into your local church and you just want to serve God with all of your heart, you can touch the world. And Mark and Darlene Zschech are touching the nations of the earth in their own respective ways as a married couple and in love, serving the Lord.